Hello, 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 and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. Some shock developments coming on with Hojlund and Inter Milan. Reports coming out of Italy saying that Hojlund has accepted Inter Milan's deal. He's accepted their proposal. Could some developments be going on in Hojlund's exit? Permanent loan with option. What do we know on that? Brian Mbeumo set to be the next signing for Manchester United as they turn all their attention into getting that deal done. There's confidence that deal will be done after Gyokeres chooses Arsenal. But Gyokeres choosing Arsenal might backfire on him because apparently Arsenal still want Sesko. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. Guys, do let me know down below, what is the screen quality like? Is it blurry? Is it pixelated? I've done a Wi-Fi test. My Wi-Fi is fine, but the streaming software I'm using at the moment just seems to just not want to come out clearly at the moment, which I don't know why. So do let me know what the picture quality is like down below. Apparently the picture is blurred. It's not even my Wi-Fi. It's not even my Wi-Fi. I don't know why, which is really, really annoying. But yeah, let's get into the news. Let's get into the stories. Let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund, but it's just StreamYard glitching. It just doesn't seem to be working. It's not just for me. I spoke to a couple other YouTubers about it, and they said the streaming software is just taking ages to collect. But people said the picture's okay now. I do apologise if it was blurred for a little bit. So yeah, there's obviously reports coming out, first of all, on Rasmus Hojlund. Inter Milan are now ready to accept a deal for Rasmus Hojlund after he accepted their proposal. So this is interesting report coming out from Core Sport, or Corriere dello Sport. Now, they've got 733k followers. They are known in Italy for being somewhat decent. I have mixed opinions about the source. I always tell you, do I sit here and think Hojlund's accepted a deal for Inter? Not necessarily. Do I think he could have? Yes. But they ain't tier one. Sometimes they say things, and particularly when it comes to Italian players and Serie A players and Man United, and they're spot on, and they get it right, and they get it in before Ornstein, and they get it in before Mano, and they're very accurate. Other times they say things, and I'm thinking they've just used it for some clicks, and there is nothing in that story. They're very 50-50, you know what I mean? But they're suggesting now that Inter Milan are now accelerating the deal for Hojlund after he's accepted their proposal. So let's have a little conversation about Rasmus Hojlund. Let's have a little conversation about what's going on with Rasmus Hojlund. So, Manchester United are looking to offload Rasmus Hojlund this summer. There's a few people inside the Manchester United hierarchy that like Hojlund, that believe in his potential, believe that he can turn into a good player, and all of that as well. Again, do let me know if the picture gets blurred, and I will go back onto the small screen and we can get the slides up. But yeah, there's a few people on the Man United hierarchy that believe in Hojlund, believe in Hojlund's potential, and to be honest, I believe in Hojlund's potential, but I don't believe he's going to unlock that potential if he stays at Man United next season. I think he just needs a whole new environment. But the majority of Man United and now running coaches they're just not convinced by Hojlund. Like that's the truth by it, and he would like an upgrade. Now, Rasmus Hojlund would like to stay at Manchester United. He'd like to make it work at Manchester United. He believes he can turn around. He's a Manchester United fan. He wants it to work. That's sort of Rasmus Hojlund. But he's, wants assurances. Will I get game time next season? If I stay, I want to stay. United are saying to him, well, look, we're trying to sign a striker. Xerxes, who we're going to keep, and Mbeumo is going to come in, who both can play number 9 if need be. Man United are probably telling Hojlund, look, realistically, we can't promise you a certain amount of game time if you stay. And if a good proposal comes in for you, we're pushing you towards leaving. If there's not a good proposal coming in, fair enough. But if a good proposal comes in, Man United are pushing Hojlund towards leaving, despite him wanting to stay and make it work at United. Now, Inter have come in for Hojlund, but they recently changed managers, sporting directors. They've made a few changes, and it was interesting. It's interesting to know, are they still in for Hojlund? Are they still potentially exploring a deal for Hojlund? And it looks like at the moment they're willing to come back in for Hojlund, because the recent developments in regards to Rasmus Hojlund are that Inter Milan are now accelerating a deal for Rasmus Hojlund after he's accepted their proposal. Now, Inter Milan, as we know from Fabrizio Romano and Tier 1 sources, do have interest in Hojlund. There is genuine interest in Hojlund from clubs like Inter Milan. There is a little bit of interest in Italy as well. I think Napoli had a look. Graham Bailey claims that actually RB Leipzig were looking at Hojlund as well, but nobody else has got onto that. And we do know that Inter Milan last week made further contact with Hojlund and, they're interested in exploring the deal. Inter Milan are interested in doing a loan with an option to buy. Manchester United wants a loan with an obligation to buy. Romano said that Inter are definitely interested in Rasmus Hojlund, but it's up to the clubs to see if they can find an agreement. It seems more up to Inter if they want to push ahead with that. And if Inter have given Hojlund a deal and offered Hojlund a proposal that he's accepted, then that says to me that Inter want Hojlund. Romano said Inter are definitely interested. It's up to the clubs to find an agreement, but at the end of the day, it's up to Inter. Do they want to push for this move? And if core sport is correct, if they are correct with this information and have got the jump ahead with this news, then that would suggest that Inter are pressing ahead with a deal for Hojlund, which means there could be advancements. The problem is doing a permanent deal, which I think is what Manchester United want to do, will be a lot more difficult. That's sort of the problem that United may face. Doing a permanent deal could be a lot more difficult. This is a good question. Is Rasmus going to get many minutes at Inter? Lautaro and Turan both in their prime. This is the worry. I'm all for Hojlund going out on loan. Yeah, if it's with an option to buy. If I felt it was a club where he was going to get minutes, not be the main man, but be the second man. I don't want him to be the third man. I want him to be the second man. He was going to get minutes. It was the right environment. My one worry is Inter want Hojlund on loan as a third striker just for depth, and they play him about 5-6 games. Because realistically, I can see Inter trying to do something like, we'll bring Hojlund on loan, and if he scores more than 10 goals, we'll trigger the 10 league goals will trigger the obligation to buy him for 44 million. La 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 la. Or if he scores more than 8 league goals, will trigger the obligation to buy him for 45 million. La la la. And then they decide they don't want him, so they don't play him the last few games. He doesn't get the 8-goal mark, etc. There's always conditions like that. I think my fear is, I think Hojlund going back to Italy is good. I don't think Hojlund should go somewhere where he's first choice striker. I think somewhere to take the pressure off him. But third choice striker, that is the fear. That is the worry, in regards to Inter. Thank you, Sane, for the super chat. Guy Royneo joining Arsenal. No idea who that is. Why would Inter want Hojlund up front? How does he make the squad? Well, that's the question. That's the question. Look, if Inter are going to give us £45 million for Hojlund, I'm not really going to care what their plan is for him. But if Inter want Hojlund on loan without an obligation to buy, then I will be thinking, well, why do you want him? That is, of course, the question there. Appreciate the super chat. Why would Gyokeres want to go to Arsenal? Yes, you're playing Champions League, but you're never going to win a trophy. I mean, true. Loan with an option is a no. Yeah, loan with an option I would only consider if I felt it was the perfect club for Hojlund and we just needed to get his value up. Like how Anthony went to Betis and it was just perfect for him. I think loan with option we can only consider if it's desperate and we feel that it is the perfect club. I don't think Inter is the club where we should be doing a loan with option for Hojlund. We know that Inter have interest. We know that Hojlund has had conversations with Inter. We know that Hojlund's preference is staying at United. We know that Inter haven't made a decision, but now it's being reported that Inter have made a proposal to Hojlund that Hojlund has accepted. So we could see some developments there. We know that United are open to selling Hojlund if they get a reasonable offer. The Muppeteers said that the club had made it clear to Hojlund that if there's a good offer on the table, he'll need to take it and leave as well. And Padella said that Hojlund is not satisfied with his time at Man United and has considered returning to Italy, all in the past. And we've got the recent development that Hojlund has now accepted Inter Milan's deal. Now, again, we've heard nothing from Romano. We've heard nothing from Ornstein. So I'm not saying that Hojlund has accepted this. I'm not saying Hojlund has agreed to join Milan. That's just what's being reported, This is a source, Core Sport, that sometimes break stories ahead of Romano and Ornstein and sometimes get it spot on. When it comes to Italian stuff, they sometimes absolutely get it spot on. And other times they say something, then 2 days later, Romano are saying, not heard any of it. But what is being reported is that Hojlund has basically agreed to join Inter. He's accepted the deal they've given him. And, things could now advance. Things could now accelerate. So in regards to Hojlund, he may go to Inter. He may not. Let's see how this develops. It's being reported of a deal potentially accelerating, Hojlund accepting the proposal, agreeing to the move. Let's see how it develops, because even if Hojlund has agreed to join Inter and has accepted their proposal, Man United and Inter themselves have to do the difficult bit. It's easier for Inter to convince Hojlund then convince Manchester United to do a loan. Man United will be having conversations with Inter now to say, this is the price, we want an obligation. Inter will say, we want an option, we want an obligation, we want an option. It could be difficult for Manchester United and Inter to agree on it, particularly considering the fact we haven't signed a striker. Like, I think if Gyokeres had got in the door today, if we had signed Gyokeres today and Inter had come in for Hojlund on loan tomorrow, United would be more willing to let Hojlund go on loan. But also the fact that we haven't signed a striker, we've had a bit of a setback with Delap, with Gyokeres. I also think Manchester United are going to be reluctant to do a loan for Hojlund. Unless we bring a striker in, I don't think United are going to accept loan offers from Inter. I think if we bring in a striker, I think we could be open to loan offers. But if we don't sign a striker, I don't know how United would feel about loan offers, because they'd be thinking, well, we might need him just in case, because we've got Mbeumo and we've got Cunha that can play number 9, but we never got Delap, or we never got Gyokeres, and we never got Osimhen, or the strikers we want. Good question. Alice, if Arsenal do not sign him, do you want Gyokeres? Not really anymore. Like, because I'm thinking, if you wanted Arsenal, you've made your bed, lie in it. I'm not saying completely no, that you can get Gyokeres for £50 million and he accepts low wages, fine, at the end of the window. But I said now, the striker market's dead. I don't want to be anyone's second choice to Arsenal that haven't won anything in 5 years. For me, get Mbeumo, get Cunha. They're goal scorers. At the end of the day, if you get Mbeumo and you get Cunha, you've got 2 goal scorer wingers. Go spend the money on a goalkeeper. Go spend the money on the centre mid, and we'll get to August and we'll see if there's any opportunities on the market. Could we get Carlo Ramos on loan? Could Jonathan David still be available on a free? I think just do what you need to do. Get Mbeumo over the line, and that's what we look to be doing. Get your goalkeeper, get your centre mid, and then just revisit it later. Over on Full Time Devils, we were just told that Hojlund really wants to stay and fight for his place at United. He asked Amr if he's going to be in the first team next season. Yeah, we reported that story the other day. Hojlund wants to stay. Hojlund wants to make it work, but he also wants assurances that he will be in the first team and get a certain amount of minutes next season. And United can't give him that. They can't give him that because right now Chido looks like he could start it for him. And he knows that maybe for minutes he may have to leave United. Not sure if he's going to get those minutes at Inter, but that's probably pushing him towards leaving. We need to sell Hojlund for his own good. Not that I don't believe in his talent, but he needs to go for his own good. Exactly. That's how I feel. I believe Hojlund can be a really good striker, but I think if he stays at Man United next season, he's just going to struggle again. I think he needs to go somewhere with less attention, less spotlight, less pressure, get his confidence up, an easier league, score a few goals, and then maybe he comes back to United a year later after a good loan and he's a different player, or we get his value up and we can sell him. Alice, we could be looking at a window where Delap goes to Chelsea, Gyokeres goes to Arsenal, Osimhen goes to Liverpool, and Mbeumo to Spurs. That would be embarrassing beyond belief. I think Mbeumo's in the bag. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But yes, I know what you mean. John Mercer did some awful signings. Yeah, him, Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold. The amount of money we spent on crap. Ineos, I think, will be better at spending the money for sure. I'm happy with Cunha, but we spent a lot of money on crap in the past. There is talk of Lautaro going. Someone said that Man United should go sign Lautaro, but I don't see that happening. Just don't see him going to Manchester United, believe it or not. I feel like he always wanted Barcelona, to be fair. I feel like he was always a big Barcelona fan. But no, I can't see us getting Lautaro Martinez. He only got 12 goals in Serie A this season, but all the seasons before that he was on like 20. Thuram, well, you know what? We could have got Thuram on it. Was it for 15 million a couple of years ago? And I said that. Thuram at Inter, I said a couple of years ago, is available for 15 million quid. And I can't believe Man United aren't all over it. This is the thing when we got Weghorst, and I said we should have just got Thuram instead. That always wound me up because I've been saying it for ages. We should have gone for Thuram. Ages and ages. Rasmus needs a loan to raise his value. Yeah. That's the problem. We need ideally 45 million to sell Hojlund to avoid making a loss. I think it's 40 million, but I just don't think we're going to get that. I'm just scrolling down the chat. We should look at Mateta. But apparently he would like to stay at Palace, but who knows? Forget Gyokeres. He already shows he doesn't believe in the club or willing to fight. Go for Mbeumo. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Mbeumo because with Gyokeres sort of off now, United are focusing all their attention on getting Mbeumo done next. And the plan is for Mbeumo to be the next signing for Manchester United. So we're going to talk about that in a second. I'm just scrolling down the chat, but I want to talk about the strikers on the market and the striker market. We'll then talk about Mbeumo. We'll then talk about Gyokeres and the latest on that. But I don't think the striker market is amazing at the moment. Like, this is the striker market. Striker options currently on the market. Goncalo Ramos alone is seen as potentially possible as well. That has been reported there. You've got Mika Birif, who only joined Monaco in January. You've got Jonathan David. He's a free agent, but could cost like 30 million with sign-on fee, wages, all of that. Victor Osimhen, it depends on his wage demands. My number one choice. Jean-Philippe Mateta, apparently happy at Palace. Hugo Ekitike, love the player, hate the price. Artem Dobrik, can't say his name, just a player in Syria. Someone that you could maybe get on the cheap, experience. You know how Liverpool signed Endo? Because they couldn't get Caicedo and they couldn't get Lavia as that guy just to get them through the next year. I think he's that kind of striker for Man United. I quite like him from the limited minutes I've watched him play. But he's 27 years of age. He got 17 goals last season in all comps. Like, just a decent experienced striker. I wouldn't be shocked if United looked at someone like that. You've got Benjamin Sesko, but likely heading to Arsenal. João Pedro, I think Newcastle bound, but also more a 9.5 than an out-and-out 9. And, Mbeumo, Cunha and Xerxes all could be a 9.5, so I don't think there's any need for João Pedro if you sign Mbeumo and Cunha. So there's him. There's obviously Nick Volteme, they're just monsters, 6'9" trillion guy from the Bundesliga. Moise Kean, but this is his first good season and he's just very inconsistent. You've then obviously got someone like Ollie Watkins here. So look, I said Ollie Watkins and Goncalo Ramos panic deals at the end of the window could be possible. This would depend on the price, but these are the strikers available on the market that we can look at. Would you rather get Mbeumo or Kluivert? Mbeumo. Kluivert's on the left, he's not as good. I'd go after Mbeumo. Yeah, Mbeumo's who we are working on. Mbeumo's who we're looking to get done next. Good shout there as well. Osimhen is the dream. But I said this the other day. If Osimhen's going to lower his wages, you have to go for Osimhen. If not, then go and get Mbeumo done. Go get a centre mid. Go get a goalkeeper, and then we'll revisit striker at the end of the window and see who is left. Now, I want to talk about Bryan Mbeumo. I want to get into the latest on Bryan Mbeumo. Obviously, spoke about him yesterday in my late night roundup. But United are working sort of on that deal. Just because it's been quiet, just because we haven't put the second bid in yet, like, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It doesn't mean Spurs are going to come in. There's still confidence from what I'm hearing inside United they can do this deal. This is all the information I have so far. I will update it if I can get anything else later on. But United are preparing a second bid for Mbeumo. Spurs, haven't been rejected by Mbeumo, but he's not given them any encouragement. The club is pushing to wrap up the deal quickly with growing confidence the deal can be struck. Man United apparently, according to my source, and want to get this deal done quick. Now, Man United never get deals done quick. We take our time, but apparently we want to get this deal done quick. But then we said we want to get every deal done quick, and we never do. So they're saying that United are preparing the second bid. They want to get the deal done quick. They're targeting 50 plus 10 or 55 plus 5 structure. There's a possibility United might go 55 plus 7.5 and see if that can please Brentford, but they're going to push for 55 plus 5. Brentford are looking for 60 million base fee. United are thinking, no, we could give you 60 million including add-ons but not base. So that's why their Spurs have come in with this 70 million bid fake story that was proven fake. In regards to Mbeumo, like, he told Spurs his preference is United. He's not rejected Spurs, but he's still happy to wait a little bit longer for Manchester United. I don't know how long he'll wait, but he's happy to wait a little bit longer. And after this Gyokeres setback, talks could definitely accelerate. And we're planning on making a new Mbeumo bid of around 55 plus 5 to test Brentford. We're planning on speeding up our move for Mbeumo. We're planning on making a second bid. The player indicated he's still happy to wait for United, and there's positive indications on Mbeumo. So that's what I'll tell you. Look, Spurs could get Mbeumo. We could bottle it. We could walk away. But I said this with Cunha last month because we knew Cunha agreed to join Man United over Newcastle and Arsenal what, a month before we got the Here We Go. We knew it a month before we got the Here We Go, and it went quiet for 3 weeks, and everyone was like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Look, just be patient. United are working on it." I feel the same with Mbeumo. There's probably a bit more competition for Mbeumo and a bit more pressure on the Mbeumo deal. We've always known that Cunha wanted Man United. We didn't know that about Mbeumo till recently. But there is a confidence that this deal will be done. There's a confidence this deal will be done. There's a confidence this deal will advance. Look, I'm not saying Mbeumo's 100% happening. I'm not saying Mbeumo's confirmed. But I'm saying despite these Spurs links, Manchester United believe they can get a deal done for Mbeumo, but Brentford have to lower the price. Brentford have to be willing to accept 60 million or 62.5 million. They're not going to pay 70 million. And Brentford know Daniel Levy's not going to pay 70 million. Brentford are trying it on because there's a bit of competition to see if they can get 70 million. But Daniel Levy ain't going to pay 70 million. He's just spent 30 million on Tell. You know, they need a centre back. They need a midfielder. We're not going to spend 75 million. At a push, you could get 65 million, including add-ons. That's what I think Brentford would accept right now. But United want to do it for 60. Like, Mbeumo, the plan is for him to be the next signing. You never know. But yeah, we got the Cunha deal done quick in the sense of we got it done in May. But we were told in April that he chose Man United and that we were working on that deal. We were working on that deal from knowing that Cunha had chose Man United over other clubs, and the Here We Go was a month. It's been 2 weeks since we got told tomorrow that Mbeumo picked Man United over other clubs. So it's just the whole, we knew he picked us, but we're still working on it. Here we go soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. If Frankfurt go at 85 is too much for Ekatike, we'll drop it to 65. Yeah, I think you get to end of August and nothing's been done with Ekatike. They'll drop it to 75, potentially 65. I just don't think he's an 85 million pound player. You know what the problem is? The striker market's so dead. Like, the striker market at the moment is so dead. It's so awful that we're in a position right now where, like, Ekatike, because there's not many options on the striker market, it's 85 million. There's Sesko, there's Ekatike, there's Osimhen, there's Gyokeres. The striker market is one of the worst it's ever been in football. There's not very many elite strikers available on the market right now. So players with potential that could be the next elite striker, because there's a lack of elite strikers in football right now, are now costing ridiculous amounts of money, 72 million Hojlund. That's the problem. It's ridiculous, the market. Ekatike for 65 million, I'd consider it. I'd still think 65 million is too much. Ekatike for me is a 50 million pound player. But the 65 million, with the lack of people on the striker market, with the potential, I'd consider 65 million. I'd say, oh, it's a push, but we'd consider that. Ekatike for 85 million, you're having an absolute joke. You're having an absolute laugh about it. So, yeah, for me, he's not an 85 million pound player. Osimhen and David both quite good and potentially keen. According to reports, and again, I don't know how reliable these reports are, but both Osimhen and Jonathan David want Man United. But I don't know how reliable these reports are, but that has been reported, that both Osimhen and Jonathan David want Man United. Alice, have you watched any of the Club World Cup? I did not. It was too late for me last night. I will watch the Chelsea games, the Man City games, maybe any game that looks big, like a Real Madrid River Plate could be a good game. But no, I'm not really going to stay up for it unless it looks like a good game. I'm not that bothered about the Club World Cup. Do you know what? If Barcelona, Liverpool, and Man United are in the Club World Cup, 3 of the 5 biggest teams in the world, it'd be a bit more interesting. But I'm not super bothered about the Club World Cup. Someone said it's Esteban on the Club World Cup. I have no idea. Has he joined Chelsea yet? Or is he joining later? I'm not sure. I assume would he be? I don't know. I like Esteval though. Esteval and Mastantuno are the 2 youngsters I like, which they're going to Madrid and Chelsea. They're the 2 youngsters I keep an eye on. Mateus Cunha and Joshua Zirkzee, perfect duo. Do you know what? Zirkzee and Mbeumo, actually. I think Zirkzee and Mbeumo are better than Zirkzee and Cunha, because Cunha likes ball to feet and Mbeumo likes to run onto balls. Zirkzee's very good at facilitating those balls. But anyway, that sounds really weird. But Zirkzee and Mbeumo Cunha would be a very good front 3. I like Zirkzee and Mbeumo Cunha front 3, particularly Adorgu coming and overlapping on the left, Ahmad coming and overlapping on the right. Yeah. What even was the score? People saying it's rubbish. Was Messi playing? Was Messi playing? I thought Inter Miami played last night. Or was I wrong? What was the Club World Cup game that was on last night? Was there a game on last night? Club World Cup. Oh, it's not started, has it? Has the Club World Cup started? Oh, was there a game? Was there a game on last night? There's, you know, on Google, there's nothing that comes up on Google. I mean, the Club World Cup is that irrelevant. Nothing's come up on Google. Like, nothing. But I was going to say there was different. I swear Inter Miami played last night. But on Google, it's not even saying that. It just says today at 1 a.m. Inter Miami versus Al Ali. Am I going mental? Like, I'm not. Like, am I sorry? Is Google like? Is the Club World Cup this irrelevant? It's stated. My Google is saying because my Google was like, there's no game on, no one's played, 0-0. Like, it's happened, and it's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant that I mean, thrilling 0-0. I mean, look at that. It's not even updated on Google. It's like no line out. They get like there's not even updated the group stage on Google there. FIFA Club World Cup, literally table, nothing. That's mad. That is mad. Irrelevant competition, eh? But yeah. Let's continue on. Oh, my eye hurts. Let's continue on. I was wanted to talk about Gyokeres potentially being rejected by Arsenal, which is a funny game. Footmob had no match ratings as well. I guess they're two sort of irrelevant teams. Like, no disrespect to Inter Miami. I know what David Beckham's done and this and that, but like no one really watches them out unless you're going for Messi or you live in Miami or in the US. Anyway, let's go into this. So, what has been said on Victor Gyokeres? Arsenal have called their Gyokeres interest due to high price. So yesterday it comes out that Gyokeres wants Arsenal. Today, Arsenal have called their interest in Gyokeres too high, we don't want him. Gyokeres is no longer on Arsenal's priority list, and Arsenal are focusing on other targets. So Victor Gyokeres has made it clear to Man United, Arsenal's my first choice. Just for Arsenal the next day to say, yeah, you're not our priority, we're focusing on Sesko and Watkins. I'd be mad if I was this agent. Again, take with a pinch of salt. Again, not Romano, not Ornstein, not tier 1 sort of information. So take with a pinch of salt. But yeah. Does that mean if Arsenal get Sesko, Gyokeres is back on for United? I don't know. Core Sport are suggesting that Juventus are now in pole position. The same article that spoke about Hojlund going to Inter. Sporting want 80 million euros. That's not going to happen. However, is this Arsenal's way of getting Sporting to lower the fee? There's some kind of agreement where he can go for 60 million euros, but yet they want 80 million euros. Are Arsenal pretending they're walking away to get Sporting to lower the fee? Is that what Arsenal's doing? Or is Gyokeres about to look like an absolute mug and end up with no Arsenal, no Man United, and go to Juventus as third choice? Because he preferred Man United to Juventus because he prefers the Premier League. You know, he'd look like an absolute mug if this happens, you know. No chance we'll go back in for him. We don't want to look like knobheads, exactly. I can't see us going back in for him. And also, Ruben Amorim said he doesn't want players that would only go to Man United for Champions League football. Ruben Amorim and Barada and Ineos said they only want to sign players that they're absolutely certain that they want to play for Man United. It's not about Champions League football. They want to come to United. And Gyokeres right now doesn't look absolutely certain, because if he was, he wouldn't have put out that he wanted Arsenal, despite Arsenal not even being that advanced to sign him. So, you know, it is what it is, eh? But look, I think Arsenal must be somewhat advanced to sign him. To be honest, for him to put out to United that he's going to choose Arsenal, he must have some indications from Arsenal that they're going to go for him. I don't believe he'd be that stupid. Something says to me, Arsenal are going to go for Gyokeres. They're putting out they won't to try and get Sporting to lower the fee. And the reason they were going for Sesko is because Sporting increased the Gyokeres price from the 60 million euros that the deal was meant to be. I think Arsenal wanted the 60 million. They won't do it for 80 million. They'll look elsewhere. But I think they keep coming back. I think they keep coming back to Gyokeres because they keep wanting to get him for a cheaper fee. Something says to me that potentially Arsenal have given Gyokeres indication they will go for him if the price lowers. Because surely Gyokeres wouldn't make it clear Arsenal's his first choice when Arsenal are looking at Sesko and Watkins. Surely Arsenal have had to communicate with Gyokeres that, you know, they will do something. Surely. That's what I think. Like, surely, but who knows? We should go for Osimhen. Yeah, look, if he's going to lower his wages, let's do it. Osimhen's better than Gyokeres, blessing in disguise. If we get Osimhen, it's a blessing in disguise. If we get Osimhen because Gyokeres chose Arsenal, it's a blessing in disguise. But we don't know what Osimhen's wage demands are. Ekatike, if you can get him for under 65 million, yeah, could be a good option. But Ekatike is still so young, I would go for Osimhen. If we can get Osimhen, it's like he's the dream target. It's a blessing in disguise. No way we can't be getting Gyokeres now. Yeah, I don't really want him now. Do you know what? Even if Arsenal gets Sesko, I just don't know if I want him. You know, you've said this, you said that. I don't know if I want you now, mate. Anyway, big up to everybody that is tuned into today's live show, by the way, guys, because we had a lot to talk about in regards to Hojlund. Again, it's come from Core Sport, tier 2 source of information. So elements of that you've got to take with a pinch of salt, but they might be ahead of the curve. There might be something going on in regards to in regards to Hojlund to Inter. So there could be some reports today in regards to Hojlund to Inter advancing. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. And Mbeumo is the deal that United are working on, and Mbeumo looks likely to be the next sort of signing at United, but you have to wait and see. They're not too worried about Spurs hijack. And you've also got Gyokeres, you know, a little bit of a blow there. Little bit of a blow for Victor Gyokeres. Anyway, people, big up for tuning into today's show. I will be back tonight with some more updates and news. Thank you for watching. Bye.